It's not just about accomplishment. It's not just about checking things off that list, but how much are we really, again, aligning with our true north, our GPS? How are we being when we show up in different situations and really starting to include that in our definition of success?
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi and welcome to the My Future Business Show. My name's Rick Nusky. It's so wonderful to have you with us. I hope you are doing well no matter where you are in this wide, wonderful world today. Now, listen, I'm on the line with Rachel Karu. Rachel and I have had a wonderful experience in the past, which you can find on the My Future Business website. Today we're going to take a little bit of a different angle with Rachel. We're going to be talking about her passions, but for those who haven't actually been on the show, I'm going to get Rachel to start off by sharing her background and actually what her passions are all about. And then we're going to be moving on to her GPS methodology and the retreat that she's offering. So if you don't mind, Rachel, if you could share a little bit about yourself and your passions with the My Future Business audience.
Of course, and I'm delighted to be here, Rick. So my passions are really about inspiring reflection and results. I think oftentimes in our day-to-day, trying to deal with the chaos of the day,
Mm-hmm.
as well as our quest to be in service to others, that we often disconnect from foundational pieces of ourselves, such as our values, what energizes us, the work-life balance, our strengths. So I very much enjoy creating that safe space for folks to quiet down and to reconnect to those foundational pieces of who they are so they can be more mindful in their choices and thrive both professionally and personally.
Thank you. I wonder, how does this apply to your own existence, your own life? What are some of the things that you're doing that you love, you really, really love doing?
I really appreciate that question. Yes, another one of my primary passions has always been core to me, has been creatively self-expressing through my voice primarily. I love to sing and perform, and I actually stopped doing that for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which is a very well-known acting school at the tender age of 18 and didn't get into their second year program and didn't realize it at the time, but I was a full-fledged perfectionist and I thought I must suck at this. And that's what launched me back to go to school and to get into human resources and training and organizational development. And even when I was the human resources manager at EMI Music Distribution, which at the time hosted 10 record labels, no one had a clue that I sang, because anytime I would attempt to sing, my arms literally would be glued at my side numb because I was so fearful that I wasn't going to get it right. And that changed about 15 years ago on my way to facilitate a work-life balance workshop when my life was not feeling so balanced. I was in a car accident. And thankfully, it wasn't too serious. I did go to physical therapy, though, and saw a flyer for a workshop called Joy of Singing, which changed my life and not only reconnected me back to my passion for creatively self-expressing through primarily song,
Mm-hmm.
but I also wrote an autobiographical self-help book about my journey titled Stepping Into More, Lessons from a Recovering Perfectionist, which is definitely a lifelong journey, and also producing a CD of songs, Stepping Into More.
That's fantastic. I wonder, how did it feel for you that first moment? I always like to go back to that moment where you started to sing again. What was the feeling that you had when you realized, hey, you know what? I don't actually suck at this.
Yeah, you give me the chills just even remembering all of that, because it was really at that workshop where I sang for the group, and then the workshop culminated in a performance where we needed to invite friends and family. And the director of that workshop, Warren Lyons, who unfortunately passed away, he assigned me a very, very challenging Stephen Sondheim song. And I was like, oh my God, can I do this? Am I, capable of doing this? And yet there was this deep inner knowing in myself that I was really reconnecting to who I was. So it felt very courageous and scary. And
Yes.
then once I was able to actually not only complete the song, but really thrive with the song, it was just so affirming. And it was really like I was starting to reconnect to what I like to call my true north.
That's fantastic. I wonder what types of songs you enjoy singing.
Oh, all kinds of songs. I love singing musical theater, like Defying Gravity or songs from Les Mis. I love pop songs. I actually just recorded my version of You Learn from Alanis Morissette, as well
Yep.
as Shallow from Star is Born. So really a variety of standards and pop and musical theater.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, with your the people that you work with, do you make this an integral part of your programs? Tell us a little bit about this and how it affects those you work with.
Absolutely. So officially the tagline of my Stepping Into More business is Unleash Your Purpose and Passion. And truthfully, this has been an ongoing evolution for me
Yeah.
because originally when I had that in mind, it felt a little daunting to me. And actually, Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Eat, Pray, Love, recently spoke about purpose and passion anxiety. Because it feels daunting, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to have this one purpose. So instead, I really enjoy working with folks and discovering what I like to call your GPS. What are your gifts, those natural abilities that you have? What are the passions you enjoy, the things that really energize you? And where do you love to be in service? And then to discover what, again, that idea of true north, where
Yeah.
those three components intersect and where then you can start really honoring more of who you are by really being intentional around your GPS. So I love interacting and supporting clients to reclaim all of who they are and to honor all of who they are by identifying their GPS.
That's fantastic. It's such a great methodology. I wonder, um, is it very difficult for some people that you work with to actually find that true north? Because lots of people go throughout their whole life with that, missing that purpose. How do you help them unlock that within themselves?
Terrific question. So, yeah, I very much use a self-discovery approach in my coaching,
Hmm.
as well as workshops that I facilitate. And, part of the coaching journey is, first of all, creating that safe space for people to quiet down and to give them permission to even just reconnect to what is it? Like,
Yeah.
what are those things that they're good at, that they love doing, without then get immediately what our brain tends to do is, shut it down. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh no, that's not practical, or oh, you can never do that, or you're
Oh,
not good at
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Self doubt.
So, so really in coaching, it's giving people that space and reminding them to really honor themselves in that way by allowing those aspects that are core to them to resurface, and then to also notice what gets in the way of them honoring that. And oftentimes it's our own internal chatter, right?
Yeah.
We have this old storyline and our brain loves to be lazy. And the brain much rather keep giving you that old storyline, even if it's not serving you. And we tend to take the brain as gospel, but the brain lies to us all the time. So part of the journey is learning to be more of a third party observer in your brain. And the more awareness you have around your gifts, your passion, where you love to be in service, your values, your strengths, then as those old tapes come up, you have more of an ability to hit the pause button and to really ask yourself, what is going to be my choice in this moment? What is going to best serve me? And that really requires you to start building new habits.
Yeah.
And that takes time, right? So it's like going to the gym. On the one hand, we want to understand that old muscle of what are those old tapes? Why are they there?
Mm-hmm.
How might they think they're serving me? And not to try to push them away, but to really understand and be compassionate with them. And at the same time, let's build a new muscle of really reconnecting to who we are at our core. What is our GPS? So again, when those choice points come up, we can be more mindful on what we're saying yes and what we're saying no to.
Yeah, it's that psychology, isn't it? And do you find that people regress in terms of going back to those old tapes even after being through your program? And what do you say to them if you find them doing that?
Just like I said about myself and perfectionism being a lifelong journey,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lifelong journey for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's why having mindfulness practices and ways to reground yourself continually is really key, because we're human, and we're going to get triggered by things. Open mouth, insert foot. Uh,
I do that every day.
We've all been there, right? So the more that we can be kind and compassionate with ourselves and recognize this is not about perfection. This is about building this new muscle, building these new synapses in the brain. And it takes time and it takes a lot of patience.
Yes, thank you. This is just wonderful feedback for everybody who's on the show today. Now, Rachel, I would like to know what type of delivery modes that you have. Do you work with people online and offline? And if you're working with people, say, online, let's start there. What are some of the steps that they go through?
Yeah, so I focus on what I like to call personal and professional development. The majority of my coaching is online, usually via Zoom or Skype if you prefer, or some people prefer the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And the process when I'm working, whether it's with individuals or in corporations, is to begin that reflection process by completing a self-discovery questionnaire. And that gets people thinking about themselves both personally and professionally. And
Yeah.
of course, it gives me a way to start to get to know them. And then when I meet with folks, we decide in the beginning how we're going to co-create our relationship and where we want to hone in. So oftentimes there's a data collection phase where we'll use different assessments depending on the need. So for example, we might do a strength-based assessment to help you really discover those activities that energize you.
Yeah.
We might go through a process to identify your GPS, your gifts, those things you're naturally good at, but might not always want to do or like doing,
Yeah.
your passions, and where you like to be in service. Sometimes I use 360 feedback, depending if it's more in a corporate setting where you're getting feedback from others in all directions. So whatever means we use to assess, we'll use that as data collection. And then from there, based upon the client's needs and the information we receive through different tools, then we'll decide on action planning. And then really the rest of the coaching is very much focused on bringing those action plans to life. And I will say that being a recovering perfectionist, a lot of that work is also not just tied to what people are doing, but who they're being in the process.
Yes.
What kind of experience do they want to have? Because we could check a million things off our list, but if we're miserable, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? That's so important, isn't it?
So I really enjoy creating that space for people to redefine what success looks like for themselves. It's not just about accomplishment. It's not just about checking things off that list, but how much are we really, again, aligning with our true north, our GPS? How are we being when we show up in different situations, and really starting to include that in our definition of success?
This really makes me start thinking about, Rachel, this idea that life is not a dress rehearsal. We've only got a finite amount of time on this wonderful planet, and, identifying what's important for you is just so critically important. Now, I wonder, with your HR background, A couple of things actually. Your HR background, you've obviously got a lot of tools and strategies that I'm personally aware of. You know, your 4 quadrant management, personality profiling. Do you use any of those tools in your coaching to help people find that true north?
Yeah, so again, depending on people's needs, I use a variety of different tools. So sometimes I'll use the Myers-Briggs. Sometimes I'll use strength-based tools. Yeah, and I have a tools around conflict resolution. So it just really depends on the client's agenda and what's most important to them. I don't like to focus primarily on those tools
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
so much of it is our interpretation, and I see you as the expert on you. So ultimately it's not about this tool or assessment saying you are this way, you
Yeah.
should be this way. It's really, how does it resonate for you? What has meaning for you, and what do you want to do with this information?
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your feedback. This is a great call for everybody who's on the call today. I'm going to obviously make all the links back to Rachel. Rachel, I'd love to now talk about when somebody's working with you, they're online. Do you give them, I guess, homework to do, for lack of better ways to put it? Do you get them to take notes, keep diaries? What are some of the practical steps that somebody you will take them through?
Absolutely. I like to call it home fun.
Home fun, yes. Well, that's a
Yeah,
better way to couch it, isn't
there's a little
it?
reframe. Yeah. So I really emphasize with clients that, first of all, it's always their agenda. So I start very much with a pure coaching approach, meaning that I'm tapping into their wisdom, asking a lot of good questions. What ideas do they have? And then depending on where they're at, I might shift then into more of a consulting or a training mode if I feel that there might be methodologies, tactics, or tools that could be helpful. I might offer those. And again, Rick, it's always up to the client what it makes sense for you. I'm also a big believer in baby steps. So I much rather clients take on something small and impactful than try to take on too much and either not do it or not do it well and beat themselves up and
Yeah,
forget about the whole thing.
yeah,
So yes, there's always steps, whether it's actually applying certain behavior, whether it's paying attention to reactions or ways that we're showing up. So we usually meet every other week. And this gives an opportunity for you as the client to really be able to put into play what it is that we're developing together. And then when we reconnect, I'll usually start by checking in and seeing how that went for them, where their successes were,
yep.
what, if any, challenges they might be experiencing, and then we take it from there.
A bit of a progress report.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah, so
when
that's that accountability factor.
absolutely, yeah. Well, because at the end of the day, you can only lead the horse to water, can't you? They actually still have to do the work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes I like to use the metaphor of like going to a trainer, as much as the physical trainer, personal trainer has tactics and exercises and tools. At the end of the day, it's up to us, right? Whether or not we're going to actually do the work.
So, how long does it take for, in your experience, for somebody to, I guess, come out of that shell per se and actually see some results after working with you? Is it months? Is it years? Is it days? How long does it take?
Yeah, so of course it depends on the person and where they're at as a person. Generally speaking, though, my 3-month package is enough time for people to start building awareness around their GPS, around their values, and perhaps to start creating some new habits or taking some new steps. But as you know, behavior change is not like flipping a switch.
No.
So usually I would recommend the 6-month package because that then really gives time for folks to really start developing new habits and to build that new muscle and those new synapses in the brain.
Now, thank you. I wonder, your GPS retreat, let's talk a little bit about that. How does that work for everyone?
Yes, I wanted to share two offerings. One is still in the works and one is available immediately. So the one that's available immediately is what I like to call the personalized self-discovery retreat. And really, this is a one-on-one journey that I take with an individual. and it could be virtual or in person. And basically, there's a pre-retreat component where we get together. They also complete a discovery questionnaire, as I was mentioning before.
Mm-hmm.
We determine their agenda for the retreat, as well as any assessments we might want to utilize. Then we have the 2-day actual retreat where we just delve in deep to whatever their agenda is. And then there's a follow-up component where we have, I believe I put in there for 3 hours
Yep.
for follow-up, so that there's really time to lock in the learning and to continue building that new muscle. So that's the first offering. Any thoughts or questions
No,
around
well,
that
just
before I go
when's
ahead?
your next retreat coming up? Is that monthly? Is it quarterly? How often do you run these fantastic retreats?
Well, they're individualized. So really it's one-on-one. And that's why it's such an amazing experience, because you get to design it, and it's totally customized to you. So really anybody that's interested in that can contact me. And of course, I'll share my contact info in a little bit. And we can arrange for that. The second retreat is one that's in development right now,
Mm-hmm.
with an amazing yoga teacher. And we're calling this retreat Unearth Your GPS, Your Gifts, Passion, and Service. And the tagline is to honor your true north.
That's excellent.
And yeah, so I'm really excited. This is going to be a 2-day retreat, and it's going to combine quite a few different modalities, including yoga, dance, chanting, journaling, exercises to unearth and assess your GPS, reflecting, interacting with other participants. So it's very rich and full.
Rachel, you mentioned yoga. I wonder, how does this all help you form your routine in your day? And what does your current routine look for you?
Yeah, so I really see mindfulness is really a vehicle to help me gain awareness and to maintain my level of resilience, and sanity.
We all need a bit of that, don't we?
Yes, definitely. So my practice continues to evolve, but I exercise 4 times a week, which includes yoga and as well as Pilates and dance. I very much enjoy dancing, both emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Um, and then I also meditate daily. I'm actually working with a rabbi currently on a very specific mindfulness practice,
Fantastic.
and really how to cultivate more love, joy, peace, and compassion, by tuning into the body, not just my mind. Because again, the
Hmm.
mind is so loud that we
Yep.
often disconnect from our body, which holds so much wisdom. So yeah, I really am constantly engaging in classes and different mindfulness practices. I'm taking a positive psychology class. I'm chanting right now. So I'm a lifelong learner. And of course, I think it's important to walk the talk. So the
Yep.
more that I can model this openness and curiosity, and vulnerability, that it really encourages others to be kind and gentle with themselves as they create their own practices that are going to work for them.
Yeah, and I can see how your uplifting energy would flow onto others. It's such a wonderful energy around you. Thank you very much for sharing all of these things.
Thank
Now,
you.
I think if we move into the more mechanical phases of your business, how do people contact you? And when they do find you, how do they, I guess, apply to be a part of your program?
Terrific. So my website is steppingintomore.com, steppingintomore.com. And you can find me also via email, Rachel, RACHEL, at steppingintomore.com. And as well, of course, you can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, all the usual suspects.
Thank you so much. Now, for everybody who's on the call, as per normal, I will make the links back to Rachel below this post so you can reach out to her, fill in the application and go through the process. Rachel, thank you so very much for sharing everything you have done. It has been a wonderful treat to have you back on the show. I wish you all the best, and thanks for being on the show again today with me.
Well, thank you again for having me. It's a delight to reconnect, and I just really am excited about being able to continue to support others in living an empowered and purposeful life.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the call, then make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. And if you're looking for solutions that will help grow your business, then visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.